Every character in Dispatch is written so well, they feel like a real person. They all have in-depth backgrounds and deep layers to their personalities that make every single individual feel integral to Z-Team. The reason for this is due to the amount of care that went into crafting the lore and world building, specifically around each hero to make sure they were as believable as possible. In this video, we're gonna dive into the backstories and hidden details about every single Dispatch character, because frankly, there's just so much of it that can be missed, whether because of it being a player choice game or some of it just being hidden in the artwork or comics as additional content. So if you also fell in love with the Dispatch universe and want to know as much as you can, hit those like and hype buttons, because this is only the first in a series of Dispatch lore videos I'll be coming out with, and you don't want to miss any of them. And I felt there was no better character to start this series off with than Bob, or Robert Robertson III, our main character of the series. His hero name is Mecha Man, but more specifically Mecha Man Blue, as he is third in a long line of generational Mecha Men, each of the Mecha Men bringing their own level of engineering to the table. And according to Robert, although he spent most of his life tinkering with, working on, and dumping his inheritance into maintaining his father's suit, his specialty has really always been computer work and hacking. Robert describes his grandfather, who was known as Mecha Man Prime, as the classic auto-mechanical genius that actually designed the original suit. And his father, Mecha Man Astral, was the rocket scientist that used the Astral Pulse to bring new life into the suit with rocket thrusters and energy weapons alike. It should be noted that Robert's grandfather was well known and famous just on the merit that he was one of the very first superheroes to emerge without any real powers of his own. So the fact that the family has been able to keep up that trend is genuinely impressive. Although it didn't lead to a very great home life, as Robert did seem to have a traumatic relationship with his father, better known as Astral, due to the latter's tough love upbringing. Not only was Astral never really around, leaving Trackstar to babysit Robert's dad rarely, if ever, showed affection. Despite being a hero, he was a pretty toxic parent, most notably when Robert almost died from a Mecha Man suit malfunction that he caused by tinkering with the suit, the accident that actually resulted in Robert having his permanent ear wound, and in the moment a dislocated arm because of how fast Chase was running to save him. Robert's dad merely looked down at his son and scowled, telling the injured boy to get up, a condescending voice that Robert hears even to this day as an adult. The exact words he hears as he pulls himself from the wreckage that almost took his life at the very beginning of the game. The reason Robert's so sarcastic and acts like he has nothing to lose at the beginning of the game is because Robert has actually basically just isolated himself from society to keep up his vigilante work. It's why his apartment is empty, it's why he doesn't have any really close friends or relatives left, and even despite Trackstar trying to stay in touch after the death of Astral, Robert was pretty much alone at the beginning of the game. Something that we do learn in the game is that Robert's father was killed by a supervillain named Shroud, better known as Elliot or Eli. A man, much like the Robertson family, was a hero without any real powers of his own. He used technical augmentations like the computer drive on the side of his brain to improve his physical and mental capabilities beyond the average human. However, despite the pressure from fellow Brave Brigade members, even Trackstar himself, who believed Elliot's augmentations could massively benefit all of them and supply a lot of the heroes with stronger abilities, Robert's father alone never once believed in Elliot's hero shtick, even though, ironically, he himself was the one that benefited the most from Elliot's Astral Pulse. Robert's dad told Trackstar that from the very moment he met Elliot, he never got the vibe that the man was a true hero. And all of this doubt would culminate in the event that changed history, as after the fifth and final vote for Elliot to join the Brave Brigade failed due to Astral's interference, Elliot was justifiably very furious that Robert's father would continue to just deny his official joining for no reason. Elliot demands a fight of Mecha Man, placing himself in a massive cyborg body that he claimed made him even stronger than Robert II could ever hope to be. Yet Robert's father, deeming Elliot not even worth the waste of fuel, proceeds to take Elliot's cyborg body on in the combat using just his bare hands, beating the man within inches of his life to the point that Trackstar had to step in and stop him. Later on in the locker room, when Trackstar is confronting Astral for almost killing Elliot, Robert's father tells Chase that no villain out there is gonna pull his punches either. So if Elliot's a real hero, he's gonna humbly accept that beating and he'll return to Brave Brigade headquarters the next day, ready to continue his work. And only then will he know he's got a real hero on his hands. Unfortunately, Elliot did return to Brave Brigade headquarters a lot sooner than Astral had realized, and this time it was with Astral's gun from his locker, using the towel Robert's dad threw over his head when he first knocked him unconscious as a shroud before firing a bullet so fast and from such close range, not even Trackstar's speed could intercept it, piercing Astral's heart and killing him instantly before Elliot, now Shroud, makes his escape on the elevator. A much different scene compared to the brutal and horrific depiction retold by Shroud later on. Something that shows Shroud is more than willing to lie if it inspires fear in his victims, as well as makes himself look better as a villain. So for what it is worth, Astral was kinda right about Shroud, despite being an asshole. And what's worse, Trackstar was even proven wrong about the benefits in Elliot's technological advancements. As we can see from Invisigal's asthma attachment, Shroud just retains full ownership over it and can turn him off and on at will. This need for control is something that plays into Shroud's entire philosophy as a villain, believing that every human is innately evil and that only the strong are capable of restraining themselves from that base instinct. It's why he's got such a deep admiration for those he considers real heroes, like Blonde Blazer, who genuinely help out of the natural kindness of their heart rather than for glory or gain. And due to never being able to perfectly recreate the astral pulse he made for Robert's father, the pulses he does use are merely mediocre replicas and nowhere near as potent in power. Shroud hoping to one day replace the computer chip in his brain that allows him to accelerate this predictability with the said astral pulse, believing that omniscience will lead him to control the entire world itself. However, without this predictability, Shroud is weak. He's unable to break out of prison for 15 years on his own after getting captured for killing Robert's father, and without taking advantage of people's weaknesses like Invisigal's asthma, or striking a hero when he doesn't have his superpowers active, Shroud's only real advantage over others is to lie and manipulate them. If he's not able to predict what's going on, or he's not aware of knowledge beforehand, it can lead to unpredictable losses, as we see with the appearance of Starblazer and the confusion if you give him the 2 astral pulses instead of just one of them. As a true hero, Robert III embodies the persona of his father, whether he really likes it or not, able to maintain that hero status without a pulse or insane predictable odds. When he had the suit, Bob was able to defeat high-level criminals like Flambe, and even without the suit, he can still overpower enemies like Shroud the same way his father did, just by staying true to who he is as a real hero. And that's just the tip of the iceberg in the Dispatch universe. If you'd be interested in learning anything more about the characters, whether that be the numerous amount of superheroes both in the tutorial and throughout the story, or every single member of the Z team, definitely hit the like button and hype button and subscribe so you don't miss any of those future videos in this series. And if you'd like to support the channel in any way, shape, or form, feel free to use my code NOOP to get 10% off your GamerSubs order today, or support the channel for free if you've never tried GamerSubs before by using my code anyway and trying some of the free samples that they offer, because that's how much they trust their product. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far into the video, and don't forget you can check out my full Dispatch playthrough on the No Operator Live channel, link in the description and pinned comment. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.